Oh boy, guys, it has been a while since we just straight up talked about My Little Pony in general, outside of, playing some MLP inspired games and things like that. But I did recently finish Tell Your Tale, and I gotta say, it is definitely better than Make Your Mark. I came to that conclusion a long time ago, but at some point in Tell Your Tale's life cycle, I decided to drop it because it was announced that it was being canceled, basically, and it wasn't gonna have a conclusion and all that stuff, so I just kind of dropped it because I was like, I may as well drop it now rather than get disappointed later. And I'm kind of disappointed now that I dropped it, because honestly, Tell Your Tale, the last half of it was actually pretty good. Now, there are a lot of unanswered questions that we didn't get in either Make Your Mark, which was the Netflix series, and we also didn't get in Tell Your Tale, which was the weird YouTube series where every episode was like 5 minutes long and everything like that. There is so many questions that weren't answered, and honestly, it just goes to show that Generation 5 was just a huge disappointment. Now, Tell Your Tale definitely was better, and I think it did actually answer one of the questions I wrote down originally, but let's go ahead and go through all of the questions I have. Before I do ask all these questions, I do want to point out that some of these have probably been answered in comics or short stories or like books or something to that effect, but when I say these answers are unquestioned, what the fuck? When I say these questions don't have answers, what I mean is they were never answered in the show itself, either of the shows, the Make Your Mark or Tell Your Tale. So let's jump in with the first one, which may kind of have an answer, but it was, why did Sunny have alicorn powers? Why did she get these alicorn powers? Now, the answer is she brought the three tribes together. She brought the Earth Ponies and the Pegasi and the Unicorns all together and brought magic back to the world, and so that's deserving of becoming an alicorn. But the question here is, why was it like alicorn powers rather than her just turning into an alicorn? Why can she turn it on and off? And there's clearly some more lore to why she became an alicorn herself and why this happened, especially if you see the later half, or rather season 2 of Tell Your Tale. There definitely seems to be stuff there that almost seems like it was a destiny thing, like this was almost meant to happen or something. So that's one question, and sure, you could just argue that it was because she brought everything together and brought magic back and stuff like that. But this next question, there just straight up isn't an answer to, and it kind of upsets me a little bit. 3 pony tribes start hitting each other again briefly. They start arguing, and they're like, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that, and everything like that. This is the episode where Earth ponies finally get their magic and everything. A black hole just appears. It just kind of appears when they get angry at each other and stuff like that, and it starts sucking everything inside of it. What the hell was that? What the hell was that black hole? Why did it appear when they started arguing stuff like that? Is this their version of the Wendigos and stuff like that? This is insane. It was insane. They never explained it, and honestly, they never even questioned it themselves, which is kind of depressing to think about. This was one of the things I wanted an answer to, and one of the reasons why I continued watching Make Your Mark. I thought maybe we would learn more about the effects of hating each other and stuff like that, especially when the 3 tribes hated each other previously, but now for some reason that magic is back. The sinkhole can appear and suck everything inside of it. Maybe magic had to come back for that to be able to happen or something. I have no idea. It was never explained, and very disappointing in my opinion. The third question is, how the hell did Sparky end up on the beach? How did he end up there? Like, obviously he appeared as an egg, but how the hell did he get there? Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was never answered. I genuinely don't believe it was ever explained how he ended up on that beach. Now, it could have, and maybe I forgot. If I'm wrong here, please do correct me in the comments below. But as far as I know, he just kind of appeared one day, and Hitch got him and raised him, and then that's the story. Very strange. I don't understand what's up with that. The next question here is, and again, this one probably is answered in the comics or something to that effect, but what's up with Skyvos? Opaline explained it briefly, or at least mentioned it briefly, if I'm not mistaken, about Skyvos, a land of alicorns. But it was never mentioned in Generation 4, and that's fine. This is just a retcon, basically, that this place existed. But it's strange that they never followed up on that. They never like talked about Skyvos again. They never really tried to find it or anything like that. Now they do try to find it a little bit, very briefly in Tell Your Tale, and honestly, if Tell Your Tale was able to continue, it probably would have eventually explored Skyvos and met up with other alicorns and stuff like that, because Sunny does talk about being the last alicorn, because she literally is the last alicorn as far as she knows, because Opaline dies towards the end of Make Your Mark, and that makes her literally the only alicorn in the world, and she decides to try to figure out the mystery of Skyvos. They figure out a little bit very briefly because they get like this banner and stuff like that, but nothing ever comes up with this, and the question is, what's up with it? What is going on here? What is Skyvos? Obviously, it's the alicorn land, but this is strange. Well, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me, and I'm very curious mysterious, and unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever know. Now, this next question I did mention kind of briefly, but where the heck are the Wendigos? The Wendigos are just straight up gone. They're just not there anymore. Now, again, this is probably just a retcon, so it's not really that big of a deal, but the next one does feel a little bit like a big deal because it kind of limits the show. It kind of limits the world of the show a little bit, and that is, where are the griffins? Where are the hippogriffs? Where are the sea ponies and this and that and this and that? There's so many creatures, even the zebras just in general. Where are all of these creatures at? We get the answer to where the dragons are, and we do meet a sea pony very briefly in Tell Your Tale, although we don't know what the heck is the deal with them. There's just one random sea pony that we never see again or before, but the griffins and the hippogriffs and all these other creatures we never see in Generation 5, and sure, again, it could just be a retcon, they don't exist or anything like that, but isn't that a shame? Like, isn't that just a terrible answer to that question, right? That it just doesn't, they just don't exist in this universe? We do get to see the dragons, so why can't we have spent time exploring and learning about what happened to the griffins and the hippogriffs? Maybe one of those just randomly shows up to Maritime Bay or something like that, and you can have a whole episode. It could be a whole thing, but for whatever reason, they just never go about doing that. Next up is, why do some of the animals have Pegasus wings or horns, etc.? What's up with that? Now, again, this is probably just a retcon type thing. They just have them in this universe, but it still feels weird. The thing is like, Generation 4 happened. Like, as much as you want to say it's been retconned, you almost can't use that as an answer for everything, because this is supposed to take place after Generation 4. It's still the same universe. Surely there's some kind of explanation as to why this is the case. Surely. Why do they only have cutie marks on one side? Again, this is just a retcon, but it's kind of the same question. The other half of that cutie mark thing is, how the heck are they even getting cutie marks? What is the process for earning one of these? The only person we ever see get this is Misty, and she gets a butterfly mark, which is its own question. Why is it a butterfly mark? I'm not really sure. They almost seem to imply that there's a reason for it in Tell Your Tale, because she finds this weird mysterious room and gets a spell book and everything. But my question is, how do they get a mark when there was no magic? When magic was removed, how were they earning cutie marks? And also, what is the process for that? Because there doesn't seem to be, we never see anyone earn one, and there doesn't seem to be a reason for them to get one, if that makes sense. It just seems to be doing something great, gives you a cutie mark or something. Maybe one of the pipsqueaks could have not had a cutie mark or something like that. Actually, do any of them have cutie marks? I'm actually not sure, but it could have been like one of them didn't have one and we got to see them earn it or something like that. Maybe they came to Pip and was like, can you please help me earn my cutie mark? And then they did a bunch of stuff and she earns it at the end of the episode. Could have been a nice, sweet episode. It even could have been a Tell Your Tale episode or something like that. Now, there are other questions here too, and I mentioned this very briefly with Misty, but she finds this secret room and there's like a spell book there, and she decides that she's gonna start learning the spells in this spell book. But the question is, what the heck is with this spell book? What's going on with this spell book? What is this weird room she found in the Crystal Bright House? The Crystal Bright House itself kind of, at least in Tell Your Tale, kind of turned into almost like the Tree of Harmony to an extent, or like a Tree of Harmony clubhouse. It started acting like how the Tree of Harmony did towards the end of Friendship is Magic, where it started summoning things out of nowhere and giving them trials and opening rooms and doing all kinds of wacky stuff. What the heck is up with the spell book? The room she goes into has like some of the stained glass windows that we see in Celestia's castle in Generation 4, so there's stuff there. It clearly has something to do with Twilight and everything like that. Again, if it's like a Tree of Harmony type situation, that's probably why, but it's very strange, this spell book. Like, what is it? Again, they almost imply that she's gonna have some kind of grand destiny or something like that. Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if towards the end of the series the plan was to have Misty become an alicorn or something to that extent, because it almost felt like she had a huge destiny, like some huge grand thing that she was meant to do. In Tell Your Tale, we also learned that Sunny's mom leaves. The question here is, where did she go? What was she doing? Did she survive that trip? Is she just lost? They imply that she's dead, but as far as we know, as far as I know at least, the only confirmed dead one is her father, which is strange. What happened to her mom? It couldn't have been that her mom got the crystals, or maybe it was and she came back and then died later or something like that. I'm not really sure, but where did she go? What was she doing? What was this big adventure that she was going on? There's so much mystery with Sunny and her family. Again, is why I asked the question earlier about her alicorn powers, because it almost seemed like it was part of her destiny to become an alicorn or to get these alicorn powers or something like that, because the mystery around her family and everything like that is very strange and suspicious, at least if you ask me. Why did the moon amplify magic? Now, this was in season 1, episode 59 of Tell Your Tale. It was in an episode called The Moon Festival, and it takes place in Zephyr Heights, and the queen basically explains, hey, this is a thing that, happens every year. The moon is closest to the earth than it's ever been, basically, and we always throw a big festival for it and stuff like that. But this is the first year that magic is back, that this is here, so we're gonna do a big thing. And then they learn that the moon is amplifying magic and making it go berserk. Is this like what is up? What is that about? That's such a strange thing. Such a it's so specific and so strange that it almost feels like it was part of something bigger. Does it not seem like that? Maybe it has something to do with Luna, although I don't know why it would have anything to do with Luna, because she's not trapped on the moon anymore, unless maybe she was trapped on the moon again or something. Who the hell knows? I don't know. It's very strange that the moon would have this effect at all, in my opinion, but it is what it is, and we'll never know. Now, the last question is honestly probably the most disappointing one, because we would have gotten an answer if Tell Your Tale didn't get canceled, and that is, what is the deal with Allura, that little jaguar, panther, cat, griffin thing that escaped and went into a different realm and stuff like that. What is up with her? What is up with Allura? There seemed to be some kind of story where she got, separated from like her brother or her lover. Who knows who it was, but she got separated from them, and it seemed to imply that her whole goal was to get the crystal so that she could go back to him, basically. But we never learn why. We don't know anything about the character, basically. We actually don't even get that much screen time with her at all, which is very disappointing, to be honest with you, because I think the character had a lot of potential, but we just don't know what the heck the deal is with Allura outside of maybe some comics or something that might or might not explain it. But those are the questions that I personally have that I think are unanswered Generation 5 questions. So let me know in the comments below if I missed any grand questions that were never answered, and if I asked something in this video that does have a canon answer via the comics or a book or something like that, please do throw them in the comments below, because I would love to see that. I would love to explore those comics and stuff and learn myself about what happened. And if you have any theories about what is going to happen, or what would have happened, I guess, in Tell Your Tale or the Generation 5 as a whole, please do throw them in the comments below as well. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and doing all those wonderful things like that, because when you do wonderful things like that, not only do you get access to wonderful content such as this, but you also get to become wonderful yourself, and I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.